Hey there, this is Adam Jones. Welcome back to the BoatLife YouTube channel. It is just before Christmas and we are down in Devon, in Salcombe specifically. We're just coming down the hill into Salcombe and we've had a last minute opportunity. We've had a call from the guys at Yeowards about going out on one of their White Shark boats and we cannot turn down an opportunity to get out on one of these White Sharks. We're really excited to go and see them and we've given John Locker a quick call to see if he can come down and join us, potentially to go out to a few of the wrecks just outside the mouth of Salcombe Harbour. There's Salcombe over there, and see if we can catch a couple of pollock whilst having a look at this White Shark boat. Does a day get any better than that? Me and Sam are very excited, Sam the cameraman, about seeing John and seeing a few fish on the deck of this White Shark. The weather looks perfect. We're just about to turn in the car park to see John, so come with us and let's get on the water with the White Shark. Take care, mate. Hey there, this is Adam Jones from BoatLife. Hope you guys are well. I am in one of my favourite places in the world, and that is heading out of Salcombe Harbour towards the sea. Today I've got John Locker and Chris from Yeowards on this absolutely gorgeous White Shark 28. This thing is seriously cool, and I cannot wait to get Chris to show us around it, hopefully whilst catching a few pollock with John. This is powered by a 400 horsepower Yamaha, and I'm really excited to see what this centre console configuration can do. So let's get out on the water and have some fun. Come with us. Right, so you join me at the helm position. I've got Chris Embleton from the Yeowards team. How are you, Chris?
Very good. Yourself?
Very good, thank you. Thanks for having us on this boat.
You're very welcome.
It's awesome. And behind me, we've got Mr. John Locker, who we haven't seen since, well, we did a little video out here earlier on, but this opportunity has come up. I said to John that we'd have a chance to go on a White Shark. And
you don't need to ask me twice to go out on a fancy boat. No, I was straight on it.
So plan for today is we're going to have a little bit of a play, probably head a little way offshore. John's got his eyes on a few wrecks. What do you think we'll be able to catch if we catch?
Oh, well, the target's going to be pollock.
Yep.
Pollock on the wrecks, and then depending what the conditions are like when we get out there, because we might have wind against tide, we might fall back into fishing inshore for some bass, some wrasse, some smaller pollock on the reefs.
Cool. Chris, are you much of a fisherman? Have you done much?
Can't say I have.
Okay.
A little bit of trout when I was a kid, but that's about it.
Okay, cool. So we might be able to get Chris a nice big pollock as well, which would be fun. And then we're going to talk through, obviously, this White Shark. These guys from Yeowards are going to be coming to the BoatLife show and bringing some of the White Shark boats. Unfortunately, not specifically this boat, but you'll get a good sense from this video, the quality and exactly what these boats can do. So let's get out on the water, go see if we can find a few fish. We're just in Starehole. We finally got some weather. And we'll get Chris to talk us through the boat later on once, hopefully, we found the wrecks and a few fish. So come with us.
Because there's no flag sticking out to say this is where a wreck is, the easiest way to mark it to make sure you found it is you mark it with the sounder. This being the seabed, we're in about 60 metres, and this mark here that comes up from the seabed is the mark of your wreck, and these little wiggly lines just above it is fish sitting above the wreck. That's exactly what we're looking for. We're going to be trying to catch them.
Do you think these ones sat on the back of the wreck as well could potentially be fish?
It could be little parts of the wreck that are broken off.
Yeah.
Could be anything.
Well, let's give it a go.
Because I didn't quite know what the conditions were going to be like, I brought a couple of 3 different setups to fish the different conditions. The first drift, whenever you come to a new area, like this new wreck, I've never fished this before, I don't know what the conditions are going to be like or how we're going to drift. So while I'm setting up, all we've done is position the boat up tide of the wreck so we can see which direction the boat's going to tack. Meanwhile, I'm going to try and set up a couple of rigs. This little jigging setup with a fathom low profile, I'm going to put a metal jig on, something around about 120 to 160 grams. Now we are in 60 metres of water and we've got a drift of about half a knot to a knot, so they should work fine. That very simple method, catching pollock and cod. On the other rod, I'm going to rig up like a flying boom on a Portland rig to fish for pollock. It's all really simple. It kind of has to be. If it wasn't, I wouldn't be able to do it. Ideally, like I say, we are fishing for a couple of pollock. We've got about an hour and a half to 2 hours of good tide, because pollock and predatory fish, they prefer to feed better when there's a bit of tide moving. We have got the best side of the tide now because we've got wind and tide together. Generally gives you calmer conditions to fishing. Then as the tide drops off to slack water, the fishing should drop off because the tide drops off. And then when we get to the other side of the tide, when it starts flowing in the other direction, you'll have wind against tide. So it might make it a bit more uncomfortable. That's when we're going to go and fish inshore in a little bit of shelter. And then we'll go down to the spinning rods. What I was looking at when we were coming out here as well, I don't know if you saw, I was pointing out there was a few seabirds around. A couple of guillemots and a couple of razorbills. Now that is a good sign because it shows that there's feed in the water. Now, if you get to see any of it, that's even better for you because you know roughly what size the feed is. If it's little tiny white bait, then you're going to need a little tiny lure because you match the hatch. You just try and imitate whatever it is down there because that's what they're used to feeding on. Whereas if it's big sand eels, if it's proper sand eels, then this size is what you want to go for. Because you'd think, wouldn't you? You'd think it wouldn't matter. You'd think that if it was only a little tiny fish down there and a big one swim past, they'd go, oh yeah, nice one. That's a bigger fish to eat. But they're not, because they're fish when they're honed in on feeding on something. It's almost as if they're preoccupied with it and they can't see anything else. So yeah, we'll have a couple of drifts with a big one, with a big lure. And if we can't get a decent bite, then we'll switch to a smaller lure. Just mix and match. Everybody's got their favourite colours, but every colour's got their day as well. But some days I really like these bloodheads, these pearl with a red body. But some days, even though you'll have great fishing one day, the very next tide, they won't get a bite on them. It's just fish being fickle. I will go back now and we will see what direction we've drifted on, and that will tell us where to position ourselves above the wreck. Because for example, if this was the wreck and we positioned ourselves up tide of it and we're going to crab off at a different angle, that will show us where to position the boat for the next drift. I'm hoping it's just running down like the north side of it. There is a buoy there with a pickup buoy, and we're the other side of it. These are quite large tides, so I'm not expecting it to be nets. It's more likely to be crab pots. Yeah, that's a good way of seeing if there's fishing gear on top of the wreck. Because you can see there's a set of buoys. It's not the end of the world. Figure it out. We're going to be using there, obviously. I'll put you on with the bait caster and the jigging rod just because I thought it would be
left-handed bait cast. Yeah.
You're going to be that is a slow jig, but you're going to be fishing it almost like a speed jig.
Okay.
Because the wreck is quite a high wreck, because it's 10 metres off the seabed.
Yeah.
You're going to have to be careful you don't lose the lure in the wreck. Is the easy way of saying it.
Yeah.
So by dropping straight to the bottom and then like a quick bounce, so you're working it up in the water.
Yeah.
If it had only been like a really shallow wreck of a couple of metres, you could have felt the bottom.
Yeah.
And you know when you've hit the bottom, you bring it up, and you could have bounced over it.
Across, yeah.
But because it's so sharp.
So down to the bottom, up, and then back down to the bottom again, and then repeat the process.
This drift will tell you whether or not that's heavy enough.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Like if you stay in good contact on the bottom, we can maybe go a little bit lighter next drift because the tide's dropping away.
Yeah.
But if you aren't touching the bottom on it properly, we'll put you the 116 instead of the 120.
Cool, let's give it a go. It's only a small one. We've been just trying to get some drift set on this wreck. Chris has just positioned us lovely on this one. One thing about this white shark is she's so stable when we're drifting across. Once we've got her in the right position, she is a lovely platform to fish off. I've had a little pouting, and I've got a feeling that this is something similar. It might be a small pollock, but it's not a big fish, but great fun. I think we're probably going to move Rex and see if we can find something bigger. We promised Chris a decent pollock, so the pressure's on.
That we've just gone through. Choosing these wrecks. The first drift that we had, I knew that we were running pretty much like west to east. So looking on the charts, you can see with the relief shading what orientation of the wrecks are, because some of them can sit north to south, some can sit east to west. We've found a wreck now, so that we should be able to have a nice long drift along it.
Yeah. So basically, we've moved on to a second wreck. The first wreck, somebody else followed us straight out of Salcombe and sat alongside us. John's got a couple that he's highlighted on the relief shading. Chris is just expertly positioning us with that Yamaha, just pulling us right into where we need to be. And like John said, this wreck, we are going to drift almost straight along it. So fingers crossed, there's a couple of pollock sitting, waiting for our jigs. We're almost there. And I'm just going to sit down. And fingers crossed, we will find a couple of pollock. Let's have a go.
The problem now, not only have I got 3 people watching me, but I told you I put that little tiny lure on, didn't I? So I've got a little tiny hook.
Does it feel good, John?
A good crashing dive, yeah.
Yeah.
Be a 4 pound plus fish. That hook hole could be right in the edge of it to me. Could be a really bad hook hole. So you've just got to try and take it as easy as possible. Keep a constant bend in the rod, and at the same time it's not the easiest thing to do when you're playing in swell either, is it? All we've done there was just positioned ourselves on the uptide side of the wreck to drift down over it. Just as the tide had started to run again, haven't we? Better, not massive, better.
Ah, there you go, that is a pollock, mate. That's what we're after.
As I was saying, switched to a little tiny lure just because there was that much bait fish around. I expected it was little white bait they were feeding on. And it's not the biggest pollock I've ever had, but I tell you what, it's the biggest one I've caught today. We're uptide side of the wreck now, so you're going to find that you might touch sand on this drop, but your next one you're going to have to be really fast with it because you're going to be right in the snaggy part. I mean, that wreck comes up a good 10 metres from the seabed, so as soon as you hit bottom, straight out with the bail arm, straight wind.
Straight up. Possibly. Yeah, I think
yeah,
so.
It looks like you slow yourself down then, don't go mad. You're supposed to fish for pleasure, to enjoy yourself. Get to the boat! Right, that's it, just keep going, steady. Steady as you can. Every single one of these as well, look, you feel it. There's a spine. Spine there on the rainbow fin.
Yeah.
So you've got to be careful with these, that when you bring them up, you don't thrash around, because you'll feel them tense, and they'll thrash around and you'll just end up being like a pincushion. Rubber lip grass, that's a ballan wrestler. This one's about, probably shy of a pound. They'll go up to like 5-6 pounds.
Yeah, okay.
So you saw how aggressive the fight was.
Yeah.
Yeah, a big one of them is.
Yeah, a 6 pound version.
But look at the colouring, perfectly camouflaged for being in the rocks themselves.
Love it.
Right onto that bit of gully that I was talking about.
That's not a bad one.
Very rarely the cameraman gets to get the fish. Look at that.
Yeah, all their power, they're just like a tench almost, aren't they? With
They
all
are,
these
aren't
extra
they?
fins at the back.
I love those blue hues. Wicked.
On the crabby camo again, is it, yeah?
Always.
Well done, bud.
Thanks.
Fish is a fish.
Put a big lure on.
Don't be upset about it just because it's a little one.
Catch a small one, yeah. Try and bring her up slowly now.
Calling Ras.
Definitely wrasse. Pretty wrasse though.
I tell you what, he's a good looking one. I was just going to say, what were the chances of you catching the ginger one?
Me catching the ginger, yeah. There we go.
It's a beautiful fish.
Pretty, isn't it? Right, we'll get this one back.
You've got to wonder, I don't think he's feeding on it. I think it's an aggression thing there.
Oh, without a shadow.
The size of the lure there,
Yeah.
he didn't want to eat it, he just wanted it out of his territory.
Yeah. Right, there we go. That is a very pretty Ballon wrasse. It's got some of the blues on it, a bit like this boat as well, which is quite cool. But let's get it back. There she goes.
Straight down. I was just seeing if we... No, sometimes you can see him go back on sounder, but this one's not going to. They are absolutely beautiful. These, my opinion, one of the best looking fish in UK waters. I mean, that thing wouldn't look out of place in a tropical aquarium, would it?
So in the Med or the Caribbean.
But that's the male to his female. Completely
Okay.
different colours.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas Ballon wrasse can be interchangeable colours. Males are always. Have you done much fishing before?
No, bit of salmon, bit of bit of trout, that sort of stuff. All.
Oh, you can see with the look on your face
Yeah,
that fish
yeah.
coming up. It's one of them things where you're hooked. But I've said to folks before loads of times, if you're ever going to come fishing for the first time, you need to catch fish.
Yeah.
Because you need to. It cements it for you. Like if you're going to take your kids fishing, or if you're going to take someone that's kind of on the fence about it, as soon as they feel that tug and they see the fish, that's it.
That's them
That's
done.
what
Yeah,
we were
yeah.
talking about earlier when we were saying what is it you love about fishing. That right there.
Yeah.
That's it. Wow, I was looking for a pinnacle. Like that time we had them. We had one on that one on that one, and one on that one.
Yeah, yeah, just
So it's-
all on the pinnacles.
All
yeah.
in the bin.
It's almost as if they've all sectioned out, like this spot's mine,
Yeah.
and I patrol up and down it.
That's mental. Right, so we're out here on this white shark. We're out with the guys from Yeowards today, and Chris has been kind enough to give me a little go at the helm position. I'm not going to talk you through what this boat feels like, because I'm going to hand over to John in a minute, and John and Chris are going to talk through it when we get into Stairhole. But one thing I would say is that this Yamaha is absolutely fantastic on the back of this boat. You can feel that there's so much ready behind the boat to take you forward. The hull is brilliant, it really clears water, and even right up to speed, you're not putting any water over the bow of this boat, even on a day like this where we've got a few relatively interesting waves that Sam's having to negotiate whilst tucked up against the console. So let's get into Stairhole and we'll get John to talk you through the boat.
That is amazing.
One finger steering. So that's all, again, it's programmable, so you can have it as a variable limit. So at high speeds, I think it's 8 turns lock to lock. And if you choose to, at low speeds, it'll lower it down. So I believe it's 3 turns lock to lock.
You must have seen in my eyes. I was thinking, all I play back in my mind is that video of the Americans when they come over a wave and you see him struggle like that, and he puts his hand on the wheel and falls forward, and as soon as it's gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
So yeah, I was
Far too
thinking,
late.
light at slow speeds, amazing, but light at high speed, I would say would be.
So again, you can you can vary the weight of it as well. So that's on its medium setting, it will actually go lighter, or you can stiffen it up as well to give it more resistance and more feel.
Yeah, I've got a pommel horse on mine because it takes some, but this is just effortless.
Don't need it.
As well, don't we? I've noticed when we pushed off this morning, there is quite a bit of boat in the water, and you're saying she's what, like 3.5 ton.
It's just 3.5 ton fully wet.
Where that came into its own when we were heading out to the further wrecks, and there was a little bit of confused swell coming in from quarters. It didn't slap or bang, and it must be the extra
That's
weight in there.
the weight and a really, really deep V hull. And then what normally happens is if you have a really deep V hull, you get a wet ride, but because she's got the flare on the bow, it pushes it all out to the sides.
We'd noticed as well. I mean, I don't imagine that people will be doing much drifting on wrecks in this type of boat, but yeah, we were being held back a lot you noticed that when we had wind against tide, we were effectively going nowhere with the drift.
Yeah.
And that's just because we've got that much boat in the water and a little bit catching the wind. Yeah, it was stunning. Some of the larger engines I've found they don't like going at slow speeds. This one's not had a problem. It might look a bit out of place having some of that size in the back of my 17-foot Warrior, but it'll be.
She loves about 2 bars of trim, 2 to 3 bars of trim. Just get her up and on the plane, and yeah, about there.
Even when we come across, like, there was a bit of a 1/4 inch swell there wasn't much, there was only a foot. But no loss in stability, no. And it is one of those boats where you can feel as soon as she gets the nose up, it just sits there and wants to go faster. The engine, I'm a little bit of a petrol head. You can feel it through you, and it's almost like it's wanting to go faster.
So I think it's about 60 litres an hour at 30 knots. She cruises really, really nicely between sort of 25 and 32, 35 knots, depending on the weather and sea conditions. But yeah, 30 knots, real sweet spot, and you can just eat the miles up at that.
So on the joystick now, you were mentioning that we can change the speed settings on here.
Yeah, so it's how aggressive the engine basically reacts to your controls.
Okay.
So it's got 5 different settings. So this is actually in 5 at the moment, which in a straight line will give you about 7 or 8 knots in this boat. But you can dial it down. The idea being that if it's a really, really windy day or you've got a really heavy boat, you can dial it up just to get it exactly where you want it. Works really well with the single engine, but if you've got twins, you also get the added benefit of being able to spin exactly in your length, do the horizontal or the lateral movement of the boat as well. You can literally grab it sideways. And it just means that anybody can get in this boat and moor it in the tightest of moorings, or, you know, we've got a lot of trots here. You can bring it literally horizontally into the trot mooring and just pick up your berth. If you're short-handed cruising, so, you know, if you're just out on your own, you can literally put this boat anywhere you want.
So cool, it really is.
Just means it's so much more accessible to, you know, novice boaters.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're lucky. We do this day in, day out.
Yeah, but not everybody.
But most people don't.
No, and you want to make your your holiday experience. You come down, you get your boat out. Obviously, it's looked after by you guys, super clean, ready to go. You want it to then be an easy day out on the water, don't you? Yeah. I think what we're going to do now is put John back to the helm as we all back into Salcombe, and I'm just going to get Chris to walk us around this boat just to show you a few of the features that are on here. These boats are going to be coming to BoatLife, obviously, in February 2024, and you will be able to come and have a look at 2 of the smaller sisters of this boat. But all of the quality features that you see on this one, they all channel through into the rest of the range as well, so you'll be able to see that. So let's hand it over to John, and we'll have a look around the boat. Right, so I've stolen Chris. We've got John at the helm as we're coming into Salcombe. Firstly, thanks so much for having us out today.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a lot of fun, hasn't it?
It has.
It's been good to see you enjoying the fishing.
Caught some good fish, had a bit play in the boat. Yeah. Weather's been dry. Yeah,
dry. It just shows that the right equipment, the right boats, you can get out and enjoy any time of year as long as the...
a week before Christmas.
It's crazy. It is crazy. So we've had a brilliant time, but it would be remiss of us not to have a little chat about this White Shark 280 that we're on at the moment. You know, this is a serious piece of kit that has so many potential usages. Obviously, we've just shown a great fishing boat for going out and doing some exploring, but what's the kind of demographic of people that are looking at this boat?
They're looking to spend quality time with their families. That's what they're looking to do. So a bit of fishing, sunbathing, glass of wine, all that sort of stuff. You know, you've got heaps and heaps of deck space on here. Bow table, this drops into a big sunbed, so it covers absolutely every box.
Yeah, well, I mean, from the bow, you can see we've got loads of seating here. Like Chris said, this can fill into a sun pad, which would be a massive sun pad if this was filled in.
Deck.
Really is massive. And then a seat behind the console, and it's a fridge down the side.
Yeah,
of the...
fridge on the helm side, underneath the helm seat.
Yep.
You've got all of your electronics underneath the passenger side. Huge heads inside the console,
Yep.
full standing height in there. You've also got a lot of storage down below as well, so that's really nice. Big L-shaped rear seating.
Yep.
There is actually also an extra 2 seats in behind the helm seat, facing astern.
Oh, cool.
So that's on a lift-up seat. And again, you can have another table in the stern, so 2 sort of dining areas or,
Yep.
or drinks areas. And of course, it's also got the big party piece of the drop-down side door.
Which is really cool, especially around here. You know, you can imagine in the summer, put the anchor down in Eleanor Cove or whatever it is and sticking the side down.
Diving in and out, the
Yeah.
kids having fun.
Yeah.
What's not to love?
Very, very cool. It really, I mean, I would say what's not to love about this boat is a very good way of describing it. Helm position wise, those helm seats are really solid, lovely bolster position on them. We've just discussed the driving of the boat, but I mean, she is very difficult to describe being on. So powerful, but feels so light. And kind of, yeah, I need to spend a bit more time out here with you, I think, having a
White
play.
Shark market this boat as a sports boat, and you think, well, 28 foot, 3.5 tons, how can that possibly be a sports boat? But she wants to get up and go all of the time.
Yeah.
She'll take all of the rough weather. Yeah, it
Absolutely.
just begs to be pushed harder.
It's awesome. The best thing to do is come and check out these boats. Firstly, come and check them out at BoatLife. But if not, come down here, down to Salcombe, and come and have a little look at these boats in person. One of the things you'll notice is the massive amount of storage space is something that, you know, every boat says they've got massive amounts of storage. This locker down here you could live in. It's a 1-bedroom flat storage space. Like I said, your entertaining space is unbelievable. And it's just such a fun boat to spend time on. And at this sort of size range, it's quite a rare thing to say, to have that performance and family orientated space as well. So we're going to head on in now. But thank you so much for having us.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been really, really great. We're looking forward to hopefully getting out on a couple of the smaller boats before BoatLife. Fingers crossed on the weather. And we're going to go grab a beer. It's getting to that time. But thanks very much, mate.
Excellent. Been a pleasure.
See you soon. Right, so we are in the premises here at Yeowards, and I just wanted to grab John quickly at the end of the day just to get his thoughts. Firstly, thanks very much for coming down. It's been a lot of fun, hasn't it?
It's absolutely my pleasure. Like I said, I don't need too many opportunities where people are going to say, do you want to go on a fancy boat? I mean, yeah.
Good man.
Found me way here.
Yeah, it was
Thank
it was very good, and I think it's always good when I'm with John on these boats, kind of seeing the child come out in his eyes as he's putting the throttle down. It was a lot of fun. We managed to find a few fish as well, didn't we?
For the time of year, we did really well.
Yeah, we did. We got the Pollack.
We tried some wrecks, ones that we'd never fished before. Every single one of them had fishing gear on them. We managed to manoeuvre around that. We did get a Pollack out. Pouting Slayer.
Yeah, the Pouting Slayer.
Just
Yeah.
knocking them out for fun.
If we needed more pouting, I could definitely find more. It was good, but I think the boat handled really nicely. The way it drifted over the wrecks was, once you guys, you know, Chris and yourself, figured out where you were positioning it, it was pretty bang on, wasn't it?
It was interesting. It was interesting talking to Chris, obviously, from your extensive boating, and then me from the fishing side of it, where I was explaining about how hard. Yeah, the boat, fantastic.
Yeah, they are really, really cool.
Everything from the way it lays at drift, or to where when you put the hammer down, even them tight circles that we were doing at over 30 knots. You very rarely do you get one that likes both high speed and low speed. Usually it's good at high speed, and then as soon as you come to idle, it struggles.
Yeah,
This one
absolutely.
was perfect at both. It was a wonderful boat.
Yeah, I love that. Well, so we caught fish. We didn't catch the massive pollock we were after, but we managed to get Chris some fish as well. And to be honest, that was always fun as well. It's always good seeing somebody get the buzz, that excitement in his eyes. We're like, oh, I'm thinking we should maybe manoeuvre the boat, and Chris is dropping down for another fish, which was great fun. So thanks very much for coming down, mate, and thank you so much to the team here at Yeowards. We're so excited to have them coming along to BoatLife in February 2024. It's just around the corner now. We might be able to do a little bit more video on one of these come January, but we've had a fantastic day down here in Salcombe, and we're really looking forward to seeing the guys from Yeowards at the show in February. We'll see you soon.